You want to say hola?
Hello.
Hola a todos, bienvenidos. We are back in the US now, if you recognize the background. After being in Nicaragua for about 2 months. And I've been getting a lot of questions about what's the COVID situation like in Nicaragua. So in this video, I'm going to talk about that, what you actually need to do to travel to Nicaragua, and what to do to travel back to the US from Nicaragua.
Bye!
Not yet, honey. You do need to get a negative COVID test result, which I'll get into all of the details about that. This is of course all my experience, and I'm definitely not getting into any like medical advice or anything. I'm no expert, I'm no doctor. Just talking about the 3 things that I mentioned. I will also link some resources in the description box below in case you have any questions, like, you know, on travel advisories or if the rules change.
Bye!
So hopefully those pages will be updated when there are updates to be had. Soy Darlene, aka Darz, and on this channel we share our bicultural life.
Which actually is pretty much more than bicultural because I'm like Finnish, but I'm US American. Tomas is from Nicaragua. She's a mix of us, obviously.
But we talk a lot of Spanish, English, and teach about Nicaragua. I hope this video helps you out. So for traveling to Nicaragua, you have a couple of options, of course. You can fly to Costa Rica or Honduras, which are the bordering countries, and then travel to Nicaragua by vehicle, which is actually what we did. We flew into Liberia, Costa Rica, and took...
Mom.
Oh, thanks. Took an airport shuttle service called Travel Lopez Nicaragua.
Mom.
Thank you. I'm not sure about the details of what you would need to do if you traveled through Honduras, but Costa Rica does not require a COVID test or anything, but they do require a COVID insurance, or an insurance that covers you in case you do contract the illness. I believe this insurance you have to get for at least 5 days. I did end up buying a separate insurance apart from our normal health insurance, which is Trawic International, I believe it's called. So for example, I was going to just travel through Costa Rica and be in Nicaragua for a couple months, and I didn't know when I was going home. So I purchased the insurance to cover me from the day of travel for 5 days after that. And then Tomas was supposed to be traveling to Nicaragua and back, also through Costa Rica, but since he got turned back at the border, it didn't matter. We purchased his insurance uselessly or pointlessly. You can check out that video here if you haven't seen it. I don't want to get into those details right now, but we did purchase his insurance for a 2-week period of... What, honey? So that it would cover the day he entered Costa Rica and also the day he left Nicaragua through Costa Rica, if that makes sense. You also need to fill out something called a health pass, or pase de salud they call it. And I did print copies of our insurance paperwork and the pase de salud just to be on the safe side, but I'm not sure if they actually accept electronic copies or not because I did provide the paper copy. Just to be on the safe side, I would also print those things out. So we did travel to Costa Rica with American Airlines, and they sent emails with all the information of what things we need to fill out and what things we need to be aware of when traveling to Costa Rica. So that was super helpful. The link that American Airlines sent us also had some different options for insurance, but since I had talked to a friend beforehand and that's what she had gotten, and I just went with that same insurance that she bought. So our insurance was about $40 per person. I will say, even though it was much cheaper at the time that we traveled, it felt a bit complicated to travel through Costa Rica because the PCR test that they require upon entering Nicaragua is a test that around our area at least you can go to take, but they send you the results within 2 to 5 days. So you don't know what day you're gonna get your results, and then you need to enter Nicaragua within 72 hours of your results. También viajar desde the place that we live in, Texas. It was going to be probably at least 12 hours before we would actually get to the border. So with all those little things, it felt kind of stressful traveling this route, but we felt like it was worth it because of the money that we were about to save. Which, spoiler alert, Tomas ended up having to buy a new ticket, so... Anyways, we did book a driver ahead of time to bring us from the airport in Liberia to Peñas Blancas, which is the border crossing between Nicaragua and Costa Rica. And it was supposed to be the 3 of us with our stroller and what felt like piles of luggage. And I think they do charge more if you have more luggage and stuff. So we ended up paying $60 to the driver who took us on that Costa Rica section of the trip, and then another $60 to the other driver who took us on the Nicaragua side from Peñas Blancas to Rivas, where a friend was waiting for us. It may seem a little weird that there's like two different drivers, two different vehicles, but it does make sense considering the complications of crossing the border right now. Travel Lopez Nicaragua is on Facebook, so I'll also link their Facebook down below if you guys want to check them out. I was a little bit nervous going to the border on my own because I had never actually crossed the border by myself. I had crossed once with Tomas, but it felt super confusing and he did all the talking and stuff. The driver who took me to Peñas Blancas dropped off my luggage with one of those tricicleros, and I think I paid him like $10 for that to cart my stuff across the border because it is like a little bit of a walk. But he led me to like where I needed to go and to the different points where you need to like show your COVID results and your passport. And then he dropped me off with my luggage at the point where the other guy came in from the Nicaragua side and was able to help me from there. So it went quite smoothly, thankfully. Oh yeah, and then we also paid the $26 for her and I to enter Nicaragua with a 90-day tourist visa. And yes, entering Nicaragua, your children under 2 do need to take the test. So like that's not really fun, but thankfully our daughter's like a champ and she's super tough and she took the test like better than I did, I think. So anyway, that was good. And I'll get to it later, but you don't need to test kids under 2 entering the US. FYI, not all airlines are traveling to Nicaragua right now, which is why we ended up going through Costa Rica. There, as far as I know, is only Copa Airlines, Avianca, and the charter flight, which is Eastern Airlines, that we actually took to go home. And also Tomas took to come visit us later on after he was turned back in Costa Rica. If you do plan on going to Nicaragua through like United or American, double check with them before your travel dates because they might actually let you book and then cancel beforehand. So just, yeah, have a plan B basically. All right, let me tell you about flying with Eastern Airlines because since this is like a charter flight, I am actually not even sure what that means or why they call it that, but it was a little different than just your normal book online and you're ready to go. I booked both of our flights through a company called Wayman Tours out of Managua, Nicaragua, all through an agent who I spoke to through WhatsApp. And it actually looks like you can also book through Eastern Airlines online. I've never done it. I don't know anybody who has done it specifically from Miami to Managua or Managua to Miami, so I will include the link to the website below, but maybe it's better if you book through Wayman Tours like I did, which I'll also link their information below. So first of all, they allowed one checked luggage of up to 70 pounds, a carry-on up to 20 pounds, and then also a personal item. And when I traveled with Valentina to the US, we were able to bring a stroller as well. Stay tuned for that because that was a little bit weird arriving in Miami with the stroller situation. I was really annoyed, but I'll get to that later. So the agent gave me available travel dates that I could choose from, and they were currently only traveling between Miami and Managua on Fridays. So once I picked our dates, she asked for our passports, so I sent her photos of our passports, which this whole process seemed a little bit weird to me because you don't usually book flights through WhatsApp, but everything was legit. We're all good, like no problems. So she took our information from our passports and generated a link so that we could pay, and I did pay online, but if you are in Nicaragua, you can go to Wayman Tours in Managua and actually pay in person as well. Una cosita that I didn't like. Usually lap infants are free on domestic flights, you know, inside of the US. And yes, we've had to pay for her, like flying with American. I think we paid $90 for our flight to Nicaragua or Costa Rica. They just charge like a, I don't know, international fee or something. Eastern charged me $130 for a lap infant for a one-way flight. Then after I paid, I sent her a screenshot of my confirmation email and she sent me PDFs of our tickets, which I then printed out. And if you are traveling to Nicaragua with Eastern Airlines, you do need to send them your negative PCR results 2 days before your flight. But since we were traveling from Managua to Miami, we did not need to send her our results. Oh yeah, and Tomas was also asked to bring 2 paper copies of his negative results with him to the airport in Miami. So at the time of booking our flights, the cancellation fee was $300. Thankfully, we did not have to cancel. So that's pretty much it for traveling to Nicaragua, which is a lot, I know. And when you actually arrive to the airport, don't be surprised if it takes forever to get through, because customs, you know, the extra paperwork, everything, it's just a little longer per person. So we waited for Tomas such a long time. His flight was supposed to get there at whatever time was, like noon or something. And I think he came out of the airport at 2 or 3 p.m. Please remember, this is my experience as a US American spending time in Nicaragua and with family from Nicaragua, but I don't know all the facts. I don't know all the situation around the entire country because I was only in certain parts of the country, so things could be different in different parts, blah blah blah, okay? As far as I know, the government has not put in any official rules about mask wearing or distancing yourself physically. Most established places require a mask, things like grocery stores and gas stations. And in Nicaragua, it's perfectly normal. These places have already like a security guard standing at the doors. Usually they just open the door for you and whatever, they're keeping an eye out. But ahora con la situación, those security guards are usually the ones giving you hand sanitizer when you walk in, checking your temperature, and making sure you're wearing your mask. Some taxi drivers may ask you to wear a mask if you take their taxi, but in public places there are many people who wear them and many people who don't. At places like the banks where you have to stand in line inside of a building, they do have like the stickers on the floor saying stay 6 feet apart, or I think they actually say 2 metros. And then of course they have like announcements and signs everywhere with wash your hands and keep your mask on and give space between people and whatnot. And as far as the vax, there is one available in Nicaragua as far as I know, and it is available only to people over 50 years old. Traveling back to the US from Nicaragua. The US requires all people entering to present a negative test result taken within 3 days of travel. With Eastern Airlines, they asked us to take the test 2 days before our travel date. And as far as I know, there is one place in Nicaragua that does this testing, and that is at Conchita Palacios in Managua, Nicaragua. They do testing, I believe, Monday through Friday only, and I am a little confused because the agent at Wayman Tours told me I have to be there between 6 and 10 a.m., but I think the hours at that place for testing are actually 7 to 11 a.m., so I just got there at 8, I think, just to be on the safe side. A couple tips about things you can do beforehand so that you can be at this place a little less time. First of all, you can go to any Banpro bank and just go in there and tell them you want to pay for the COVID test, and they know what to do. You just pay the $150, and they give you a receipt, and you have to bring your receipt to Conchita Palacios when you go to get tested. That eliminates you from one line, but if you don't make it to the bank beforehand, it's perfectly fine. You can still pay at site, you just have to wait in another line. Another thing you can do to speed up the process is register online, and I registered just the night before. What, honey?
Yeah.
Gracias. I will put the link below of where you can go to register, and that will get you to pass another line. You don't have to wait.
Bye-bye.
And even though I paid beforehand and I registered beforehand, and print out your results, by the way, of your online registry, I still had to be there for a whole hour waiting in line just to take the test. There are hundreds of people there. Registering online, obviously you don't have to wait in line, but going to the bank, you have to wait in line too, so whatever. Choose your line, I guess. Like I said, going into the US, kids under 2 do not need to take the test, so thankfully only I took the test on the way out, and I only had to pay for myself. Going into Conchita Palacios, there's people helping you find parking. They can direct you where to go to the entrance. Once you enter, there's like every few yards or meters or whatever, there's people helping you. They ask you, did you register online? They ask you, did you pay? And they get you to the right spot. The entire time I waited in line, like I said, I didn't have to wait in line to pay or to register, but in the COVID testing line, you're sitting in chairs the whole time. They have piles of chairs. You just take a seat and then
Yes.
they tell you what to do. It's pretty simple because there's so many people helping out and telling you what's next. You do need to bring your passport. Remember to print out your online registry and remember to have your receipt if you paid at the bank beforehand.
Yes.
Do you like my editing glasses? I forgot a slightly important part, and that is you get your test results online at 4 p.m. the same day that you tested. After you get tested, they give you a little like receipt thing with a CRV number or something. I'll have the website down in the description box, but you go online, put in your test number, or you can also go back to Conchita Palacios between 3 and 5 p.m. and pick up your results in person. Eastern Airlines, or at least Wayman Tours, asks you to be at the airport 3 to 4 hours before your departure time. So what I ended up doing is just I checked in and left my checked luggage, and then I hung out outside the airport with my family for a while longer before I actually went through customs and security into the airport. Tienes que llenar the normal customs form that you fill out when leaving Nicaragua, but then you also need to fill out another form. I don't know, I can't remember exactly what it was, but they give you what you need when you check in. Just fill it out. I think the customs guy asks for the paperwork. Of course, also bring your printed out test results with you. They ask for it a couple times at the airport in Nicaragua and then once you enter the US. Of course, also with the extra paperwork, going through customs on the way out or in. When you go into the airport before security in Nicaragua, it just takes a long time. So just be patient and allow yourself plenty of time before your departure. As I mentioned earlier, the situation with the stroller was a bit frustrating with Eastern Airlines. I was able to take it in, you know, normal, like check it at the gate before I went onto the airplane. But upon arriving in Miami, she was sleeping. So I had to carry her off the plane, you know, normal. But they don't give you your stroller at the gate right after you get off the plane. So I carried her halfway to the customs line. Anyway, it's passed, it's over, it's fine. She woke up at one point and she was able to walk, which is great. But like if I had a little baby that couldn't walk yet and I had to carry my suitcase and my backpack, and not fun. It is quite a long walk from where you get off your airplane up until customs, and that's the part you bring your stroller for, right? To get through the airport. But no, Eastern Airlines puts your stroller with all the other checked luggage, and besides that, the strollers are the last things to come out of the carousel. Let me edit that. They did not even come out of the carousel. They ended up, after everybody's bags came through, we had to wait another 15 to 30 minutes before somebody came with like the oversized luggage and the strollers and stuff. Oh my gosh. Anyway, whew, that's over. We're here. We made it. We survived. Just something to be aware of. I actually was talking to someone else who had also had a stroller, and they just left it because they're like, a piece of junk stroller, we just use it for travel, it's on its last legs, we're not even gonna wait for the stroller. So eso pasó. And since Eastern / Wayman Tours charter flights are only from Managua to Miami or Miami to Managua, I had to book another flight from Miami to my next destination. So not my favorite, but you know, we just had to go check in again and then go through security again. So it's just something you don't normally have to do. Like if we book a flight through like American Airlines, who we usually travel with, from Managua to our hometown, then we don't have to go through security again in order to get back into the airport after going through customs. Gracias por ver. I hope this helps you. I hope you learned something. If so, give it a thumbs up because it really supports my channel. Comment below if you have any further questions. Share with someone who might also need to know this information or might enjoy this video. And subscribe for more videos about Nicaragua and bicultural life / tricultural / multicultural. See you next Saturday. Bye.
Bye.
You gotta go. Bye.
Bye.
Stand up. And do it.
Bye.
Good job. Say see you next Saturday.
Very much. Hello, we're done. Here's the end. He said, "See you next." Oh no.
I will also
Bye.
I will also link some.
Bye.
Yeah, can you let me talk, please?
Mhm.